This is week 4 of Patrick Lecture 147, The Nature of Life and the Nature of Man. And week 4 is wrapping it up with some discussion of awareness and how that brings understanding. So first, I want to talk about that for a bit, and then I want to segue into 2026 and give a little bit of an overview of where I'm headed. So back to 147, which is the January topic. Awareness bringing understanding refers back to the concept in Patrick Lecture 127, the 4 stages of spiritual evolution, that are outlined as stage 1, you don't know. Stage 1 is innocence, blindness, numbness, whatever. You don't work there. You exist, you manifest, but you don't do self-analysis and conscious self-development there. You have to wait until awareness enters, until whatever's going on in your automatic unconscious system surfaces. As it surfaces, that is a process. It begins to emerge. As awareness comes, you may gain some understanding, which will allow you to increase your awareness. It's a back and forth and back and forth. Every once in a while, you get a lot of awareness at once. One of the phrases used is you blow out your third eye. You just get more than you can handle, and you go numb for a while. But that numbness is more like going to sleep. You go to sleep, you rest up, you come back. It's not the same as operating in an unconscious state. So once awareness comes, that's it. You got awareness, and you can battle it or forget it or push it or shove it or hide it, but you've still got it. And you chew on it and you get more awareness, and it's round and round and round until it's a common phrase in many cultures, the penny drops. There's a knowing. You have a sense of hitting bottom where you get it. Now, you may not be able to verbalize it fully. There may be more awareness and more understanding, but you've reached a place of knowing. And that brings a sense of confidence and a sense of empowerment. And if you deal with it carefully and you don't overestimate your abilities or your knowledge, it's a great place to spring from. I think of it like finally touching the bottom of the pool. You can really push off at that point, whereas before you're pushing water around and it's fluid. But there's something about the bottom of the pool that feels great. In healing cycles, it's bottoming out. And you need to bottom out. Now, people have different bottoms. They have different places where they emerge, where they get it. Rather than judging, just notice. Once you have the knowing, it's yours, you can use it. The second concept that came up for me when I was preparing this in this section was vicious circles. And I find that a lot of people, once they begin to get the idea, that you don't have to read the lecture, Patrick Lecture 50 to get it. You can think of it like the hamster wheel. There's a place where we go round and round and round, and we can't seem to get out of a certain cycle of thinking. And there are techniques and tricks to do that, to emerge from that vicious cycle of thinking. The one I use is I look for the illusion, the false belief. I look for the forcing current. I look for where we're literally, I feel it in my body as where we lower our head so we won't see what's going on. And that tells me that we know there's something to see, and that knowing can be built on. So that's what I look for when I work with people. So that's week 4. This is not the lecture I intended to present, but it took me a little longer to get started with what I wanted to do for 2026 than I had anticipated. So I gave up, and it's a good lecture, but it wasn't my intention. My intention was to dedicate a very large portion of 2026 to the concepts in and around personality, based on dividing them very gently and lovingly into three major perspectives, viewpoints, approaches of reason, will, and emotion. Now, when I was first learning pathwork, it was a slow process for me to realize how many lectures are connected with this. And then 10, 15 years later, even more lectures, I began to see the connections. I almost began to believe that anytime a triad was mentioned, anytime three things were brought up, I could find some way to link them to reason, will, and emotion. Now, I find those concepts very powerful. They were a practical tool for me to understand my dilemmas in studying pathwork, in understanding the concepts, my blockages, but even more so, why I had trouble with other people. It explained to me that you can say the same words and mean completely different things. And just because the words match, watch out, the energy may not, and the agenda and the needs may not match. So it was an extraordinarily powerful tool for me to learn. And it's big. It's a dozen lectures. And so we'll start off in February of 2026 with Pathway Lecture 30 on pride, self-will, and fear, and go from there. What I wanted to do was create a master document that got everything at once. And I'm not skilled enough to do that. And I guess it doesn't need to be done. So I'm just going to walk through the different aspects, lectures, and try to connect the dots or support your connecting the dots as to how all these different lectures relate. Now, I see reason, will, and emotion in every lecture. And so it's a holographic sense of the concepts that once you understand a concept, you see it everywhere. And I used to practice with that. I would see duality everywhere. I would see it going to the grocery store. I would see it answering an email. I would see it in the news. I would see it in my friends and my family. You name the concept, and I could find a way to visualize it in daily interactions. And this made pathwork easier for me to study. All I had to do was live life with awareness. And so that's why I'm bringing it back to awareness brings understanding. So short preview of where I'm headed this year. Short summary of week 4, awareness brings understanding from Pathwork Lecture 147. These study guides and chats are certainly not meant to replace the lectures. What I find is that what I find, the reason I do them is people have given me feedback that they help me, that they assist people in figuring out what lecture they might want to explore, that they help unknot some rather esoteric and abstract concepts. I used to demean myself because I felt that I was just a practical person and I just needed to get it down to pen and paper and what do I do in the kitchen that's pathwork. And I'm now realizing the value of that. That if you can't do pathwork in the kitchen, if you can't do it while you're on the toilet, if you can't do it while you're shopping for your groceries or walking down the street, the question is, can you really do it? If it's true, if it's spiritual truth, it will exist everywhere on every level. Your choice, how you wish to address it, see it, what you wish to unravel. So thanks for listening. Hope this helps. Please read the lecture. Take care.